Welcome everybody. I think we're live. I'll wait and make sure we've got audio. For some reason, is this too far away? I cannot see my monitor. Everything, oh yeah, that's what it was. That helps. Okay, we are good. So I may realize that things are, like it's happening now. My music just stopped. Why did my music stop? I was listening to Enya because I'm cool like that. No, why did you disconnect? Why, really, we're gonna do this tonight? Is it gonna be one of those nights that you just don't want to work? Maybe if it will do this ear. Wait, I can't put it in there. Let's see. You can hear me, but I want to hear my music. Hold on. Why do we have to mess with this tonight? Are we working? There we go. Let's see if that works. So anyway. Wow, I got easily distracted. We are working in acrylics tonight. I'm going to be painting a bee. The reference photo, the link to that is found in the video description. So if you want to follow along with me, you can find that there. I occasionally have people complain that why isn't the reference photo on the screen? You should replace that with the dogs. Well, that's just not going to happen. They're here for I can't say the word or they'll pop up. But you can download it. You can put it anywhere on the screen that is comfortable for you. And the other thing I want to go over really quick, I had a couple of people this week contact me. They were very polite, and it's the only reason I'm willing to even address it, because they were so polite in their request, but no. Asking me to pre-list out all of the colors I'm going to be doing before I start. Here's the thing, what's probably happening is you're watching a lot of craft beginner tutorials, craft stuff where you're painting in essentially cartoons. Yeah, they're going to list out those colors for you because they usually have already pre-painted those, like the paint and sip stuff. You're painting cartoons. You're not learning actual painting, actual art. The colors don't matter. I promise you, they don't matter. Black and white. You get your black and white and you get your other colors in there. If you see my reference photo, has green, grab a green. I don't care if it's Hooker's green. I don't care if it's phthalo green. Grab a green. If it matters, I'll let you know. But I mean, even in my case, I wasn't sure which green I want to throw them both out. I was just throwing stuff on there because I was ready early tonight, which is very odd. But the colors aren't that big of a deal. It's the values. I've got to get that through everyone's head. Like, until you get over the idea of, I need the exact color, you're not going to improve very much. You're painting cartoons if you're that worried about color. It's the values. How light are your lights? How dark are your darks? And because I'm not a craft channel, I'm not doing craft paintings where I'm pre-doing them before I do it, because it's 5 minutes to actually paint one of those. Well, for me, and I'm not actually making that up. I used to teach those at a local place. It took me about 5 minutes to paint those. But I'm not doing that for these. These aren't that style of painting where I've pre-done that. So I'm looking as I paint with you live. I'm looking at it going, oh, maybe I need some of this color, and I'll mix it and realize, no, I think I could use this color instead. That's why you're not going to have me ever list out all of the colors I'm going to use, whether it be acrylic, anything, colored pencil, because I don't know. There's no way for me to know until I start painting. I don't pre-paint these because they're not cartoons. So hopefully that helps. But I also want to thank those of you who contacted me requesting that this week. Did you guys gang up on me? It was weird to get two or three comments this week alone, privately messaging me or commenting on other things. I'm like, they're ganging up on me. But seriously, thank you for being polite, because that's not always the case. But that kind of explains where we're going with that. And we're going to start off the night with a super chat from Kathy for the boys. She said, let's start the pups getting a treat. They thank you. Do you notice the different studio? Oh, hold on. They're frozen. Let me fix this. Hand can froze up. I'm having a problem with some of these things freezing. This is not the first time that froze tonight. All my cameras have been freezing, so yay. But I moved everything because I redid the studio, so I'll tell you about that. After the live stream, I'll tell you about, or not the live stream, after the lesson, I'll tell you what I've done in the studio, and I'm excited. Anyway, do you guys want a super chat? Kathy gave you a super chat. Come. Good boys. So you'll notice behind me is completely different. I don't have the room divider because I actually painted. Yeah, good boy. That's a good cow. Good boy, Gibson. Okay, go lay down. Lay down. I think they like it better without the room divider in here. They're not doing their, like, no, we'll just stand here. Especially Bad Cow. He doesn't like turning around in thinner areas. So there we go. Yay. Okay. So anyway, I think that gets us started for tonight, and this is going to be a kind of a long project, so we need to get started on this. Also, you can bid on this painting. The starting bid is $75, and I'm not going to be super upset if nobody wins because this is going to go in my studio. If not, I purposely chose something that I think would look nice in my new studio. It's not new, but it's been painted. And it's also why I look like a slob tonight in my slob painting outfit, because we're lucky I'm not in a bathrobe and slippers at this point. This room is big, and painting all the walls, I did it all with a 2 and 1 3-inch brush, but mostly 2-inch brushes, because I have to fade from gray up to teal and then lighter teals. It's like a blotchy color in the wall. I'll make a video showing you guys this. It'll be a few months because I've got more work to do in here. But yeah, I'm in a little bit of pain right now. So anyway, I'm lazy tonight. Sloppy. So looking at this reference photo, you'll notice that I do not have the bee pre-drawn out. He is actually drawn out on a piece of tracing paper that I will use transfer paper with to transfer this onto the project later. Right now, all I'm worried about is getting this blurry out of focus background. I've got my fine mist sprayer ready to go, and that is going to keep my paint wet as long as possible. So one of the things a lot of people are constantly asking, especially in beginner art groups, is which slow drying medium to use. None of them. They're crap. Like, it solves a problem that almost doesn't exist, because if you use a fine mist sprayer, you don't need, I've never, ever seen a painting that was done, like a professional artist that worked with slow dry mediums and acrylics, that I looked at it and thought, that's what I want my work to look like. I'm not saying you can't produce something pretty with it. I mean, I can produce something pretty with coffee grinds, but water, it's just better. I don't like those mediums. I don't like no. So anyway, that is what I'm using tonight. I need a filbert, and I'm definitely going to be running into some trouble finding supplies because my whole studio got trashed this week for painting. So, you know, I apologize. And this should work. Okay. I am going to be using a green and magenta, or deep violet, doesn't really matter. You could mix your own with red and blue. I don't care how you get there. But if you look at our reference photo, there are areas that fade into almost gray. You may be tempted to think, okay, well, I need to mix a gray too. No, that gray is happening because of the green and the magenta mixing together, with, of course, some of the black and the white. But it's not that you need to sit and mix a perfect gray to make that fade. Art of Raven D said, I actually decided to browse the Reddit groups recently to see what you mean on bad advices. Yeah, Facebook's even worse. Okay, so I'm adding water first. So I've got water on my brush. I'm going to start with, I'm just do the green. I'm going to do this in a cup. My plan, oh, I don't like that. I'm going to mix some phthalo green into that. My plan is to, and it doesn't really matter what you go with, to get paint on here, blend it, dry it, do it again. Chances are I'm going to need to do 2 layers of this. If I don't, I'm going to be shocked. Let's throw a little bit of white in there, a little bit of black, so it's not too, like it's so right now, green. Actually, I'm going to pull some of my deep violet in there. Too green. So see, by just pulling the color that I know I'm going to be mixing in, I start getting to something that's a little bit more neutral, a little bit closer to what I'm looking for. That's pretty good for a base layer. I'm going to go ahead and paint. I'm going to mist with a fine mist sprayer some water on there. That's a pretty nice green. I don't want too much water because it'll make the paint too translucent, but I do need enough that it's going to flow smoothly. And I don't care if it's in the exact same space spot as it is on the reference photo. I just need to go for close. But one of the reasons that I'm going to do this, my plan is to do this in 2 layers, is that the paint is going to be kind of translucent. By doing it in 2 layers, that's going to soften things up. If I have some streaking or anything that's just not as soft as I want it to be, I can fix that on the 2nd layer, and I'm not even worried about it. Now I need this to stay wet, so I'm going to use my fine mist sprayer, and no, a regular spray bottle will not work. You want to get a fine mist sprayer for that. And I don't even need to clean my brush. I'm just going to mix that with the green that's already on there. Let's pull a bit of white on there. I'm going to pull a teeny bit of black. Not much. See, mine's a little bit more purpley than the reference photo. I don't care. This is what I'm talking about. It's not that big. That's actually really pretty. But it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about things being perfect. I probably will pull. I can pull if I want it to be a little bit different in there. I've got it more of a magenta. Let's mix some of that in there too. See, it's just not a big deal. We always, and it's not just you. So right now, if you're feeling like, but I need the colors, that's just, you know, or what's wrong with me that I feel like I need the colors? Ooh, that color is not what it looks like in person. I need to fix that camera. But that's a normal thing to feel at first, but you've got to get over it if you actually want to improve. You are not going to get better if you are too worried about your color, because the color is not what's going to make your work look good. Okay, so I'm going to take a mop brush, and I am lightly going to go over this, doing little half circles. I am barely adding any pressure. If you push very hard, you are going to create streaks. If your paint is too wet, you are going to create streaks. If your paint is too dry, you're not going to be able to blend anything out. And I'm going in all different directions. And my goal is, I'm not trying to blend my color together. I am trying to soften out my brush strokes. Now I've got a chunk of paint right here that is just not wanting to come out. There we go. No one wants you. You aren't loved. Okay. Oh, that's mean. I'm sorry, paint chunk, but it's true. I'm going to rinse this brush before I go on. Now, when I rinse it, I only have to put the tip of the bristles in the brush. This is a mop brush, or tip of the bristles in the water, because I don't want it super wet. I want to dry it right away. So just a little bit of water on there, and then I'm going to take a paper towel, and I'm going to rub that in circles so it's dry and ready to go for my next layer. And I'm going to do that before I dry this layer on the painting. Let me dry this and then fix that camera. Oh, I don't know if I plugged this in. Let's find out. Nope. I'm telling you, the studio is not fully set up yet, apparently. Oh, and this easel is not where it belongs because I can't get back here. Where does that cord go? Oof. And there went the water. Oof. Too old for this. Okay. I'm using this on high heat. I see a lot of, God, there's so much misinformation, both on videos and in these beginner groups. It can be on high heat. People will talk about you don't want to use high heat because it makes your color shift. No, it does not. Your color appears to shift. The only color that really I've seen be an issue, at least with Liquitex Basics, really with everything, I've always had this with teal and acrylics. Teal always dries darker for some reason. But that's like a weird teal thing. Most colors don't actually shift color. What happens is when it's shiny, when there's water in it, it's reflecting that and it looks different. When you dry it, it looks like the color changed. It didn't. You just don't have the shininess to it. When you put a gloss varnish over it, it will go back to what it looked like when it was wet. The color isn't shifting because of high heat. What's happening is you're drying it faster, so you're seeing that shift in the reflection from the light happens faster. It doesn't matter if you use high heat, doesn't matter if you use low heat, doesn't matter if you use no heat and let it air dry, it's going to dry the same. The heat's not the thing that's making the color change. It's going to change no matter what. However you use it. Like, I mean, and it's not really changing, it's the way the light reflects. So that's not something to worry about. The other thing is people say it will cause archival issues and it's going to crack and it's going to peel. It can bubble. If you use like a heat gun that gets super hot, yeah, it's acrylics or a plastic. It could bubble if you have the paint on there really thick and then you use that. We don't use a heat gun. I'm using a hairdryer and that's actually a fairly weak hairdryer. Now I have had a hairdryer that like I couldn't use for me because it would burn my scalp. It really should have been disposed of. Fire hazard there. But so I used it for art. That could get hot enough because that was like heat gun level hot. I mean, it was not safe. But I'm cheap, and so I used it for quite a few years. That one could, if it was close enough, get hot enough in a certain place to cause the paint to kind of bubble. But that's a rare situation. Most hair dryers, high heat, you're no problem. And it's not making the color change at all. I know people like to claim that it's not. Not an issue. Okay, I need to fix this camera really quick. Which mouse? Let's see, easel. Oh wait, that's not, pay attention. Me, not you. You don't have to pay attention. I'm just not hitting the right buttons. That is a lot closer. A little bit too dark though. Much closer to what mine looks like though, like by a long shot. Wow. Okay. Yeah, auto exposure was not our friend there. Okay. What am I looking for? There we go. Okay, back to work. So I'm gonna use the same brush. I didn't even rinse this brush. I set it to the side because I'm working so quickly. If you are not working this quickly, rinse your brush between things. Don't let it set in the water. You will damage the bristles of the brush. We do not want to do that. Okay, so I'm back to the green, adding some water. This is phthalo green and hooker's green mixed together. You can use one or the other. It really does not matter. Okay, we're gonna get that wet again. Stop scratching, cow. Wade. He's like, but it's allergy season. I know, lay down. Down, no scratching. Not good for your skin. Okay, that's a little bit on the dark side. Let's pull a bit more white into that. See, it's the values, not the colors. It's a little bit dry, so I'm gonna throw some more water on there with a fine mist sprayer. And if you are new to using the fine mist sprayer, sometimes you're gonna put it on there and it's gonna be way too runny. And sometimes it's not gonna be enough. You just have to use it and get used to it. There's not like a formula I can give you to how much to use. So we've got magenta. I'm letting that green on the brush. I'm not even cleaning that out. Green on the brush, mixing in. Throw some white in there. There's enough green I'm pulling into that. I don't have to pull more black. Some more white. I think I could go a little bit more with the magentas. Let's pull some more in there. I almost graded up too much. It's not exact to that photo. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. I want my values. Are my lights light enough? My darks dark enough? That is what is going to matter. And I'm letting these colors just run into the green. Keep that green wet. Use your fine mist sprayer. Now I want to lighten a little bit of these. So I'm going to take some white. Oh, my white is starting to dry up. That white in that palette has been there for like a month. It's still wet enough to use. I will have to put some more out though, but when I start the flowers and the bee. So I'm going to throw some in here. Let's get some back here and some magenta. Some more magenta. Magenta's pretty translucent. So I can use a decent amount in there. At least this one is. And I want to get some more white. Wipe the brush off and then got some more white for this area. So I'm working on a canvas board. This is a Fredrix watercolor canvas board, and just for transparency, I'm sponsored by Fredrix. They supplied me with the canvas that we are using tonight. The reason that I go with them for the canvas board is it is super smooth. Like, I get so much fine detail and smooth blending that you are going to be having a challenge with if you are using a canvas that has a lot of tooth to it, a lot of texture. So that's why I really like the watercolor canvas boards. I don't even use them for watercolor. I use them mainly for acrylic painting. Occasionally for oils, but mostly acrylics. They did provide us with this one, so thank you to Fredrix. They were already the only canvas I used because I've had so many problems with other cheapy canvases with warped stretcher bars, ripping canvas, like crazy stuff. Paint not wanting to stick, that one's always fun. I think that's an issue of somebody had oil on their skin and got it on the canvas and then the acrylics didn't want to stick. So just lightly, see how much prettier and softer this layer is because I already have a layer under. I'm not fighting the white of the canvas anymore, so it's much easier to control that second time. Could I have gotten it perfect the first time? Probably, but why make my life harder than it needs to be? Just plan on doing it in two, and look how pretty. Nice and soft. Looks like it's airbrushed without being airbrushed. Looks like an oil painting without being an oil painting. So now I'm going to dry this. And we are ready to get the next layer. You can go ahead and keep leaving your questions. I'll be answering those at the end of the video. Next, we are going to this needs to be completely dry before you move on. So I've got my bee all drawn out and loosely drawn the flowers. I'm not putting as much detail into those flowers as what this is. Actually, I think one of the things I want to start doing on some of these is the live stream 1 hour version or 1.5, whatever, and like a full spend a week doing it to show the difference of spending extra time. Like, I'm not going to expect the same level of detail on something that I'm doing in an hour that I would in something that I'm going to spend several weeks on, or not several weeks, several days on. So I'm going to take some transfer paper, and I just need to slide that under there. And you want to make sure that your painting is taped on both sides so it's not slipping back and forth. I'm going to take a little stylus, and I'm going to loosely draw those in. Again, these aren't going to be super detailed, so I don't even have everything drawn in. I'll be freehanding a lot of this. These are just kind of loose guidelines of where my flowers are going to be. I don't have them all drawn in, so we'll freehand a lot of that in. We've got the bee fluff. Now the stylus, you can also use, check on Amazon for nail, like nail dotting, nail art tools. It's the same thing, but sometimes the nail ones are cheaper than the ones that are listed for art. And they come in funner colors. Funner? More fun? Whatever. We're not here for grammar. That's probably enough. I can, oops. Okay, we'll just freehand in whatever I'm missing. Oh, and I did not clean that brush, so I want to wipe the paint off, pull the paintbrush off, wipe the paint off, and then rinse that. One of my quality Amazon brushes, whatever, it works well. I just have to shove it back together sometimes. Oh, my link doesn't work for the canvas board. Yeah, they change them sometimes. I'm gonna have to go through and check that later. I say I'm gonna do it. I'm not. I'm gonna totally forget. And someone will remind me, but I'll read the reminder while I'm working on something else and then forget again. That's like the way I do things. Tea. Decaf before anyone tells me I need less caffeine. Okay, I am going to start doing these brushes, or the flowers. I'm just going to use a tackle and bristled filbert. This is a number 14 Wurtzen. I don't know, something cheap I found on Amazon. And we're going to be using, I'm going to definitely need new white though. My white is definitely starting to dry because it's been out in my palette for like a month. Whenever the last time I did an acrylic painting for the, a live stream is how long that's been there. So let's get some, I'm going to start with the magenta because it's lighter, and then I can add the purpley color over that. So let's see, we've got a curve here, add a little bit of water. If it starts looking like bumpy, you need more water and more paint on your brush. Or in my case, just more water. Had plenty of paint. I'm just going to start blocking in about where these go. We'll start with this cluster up here. Then think of this as abstract shapes. Now I'm going to do this pretty loose. I mean, there's not going to be a ton of tiny detail in here. When I do this, if I do this as one of the ones that I do as a full, like, long lesson, then I'm going to be putting a ton of detail, but not for tonight's. Actually, I may as well just map out all of these while I've got this color out. Should make my life go, and it doesn't necessarily make it easier. It's just going to make it go faster. If I were doing this where I'm trying to make it like super exact, I'm going to work on one little area at a time. But for time purposes, I don't even know what I have drawn here. Let's see, you're this. You're going to get fluffy up here. I don't know. And it really does not matter if it's exact. I'm just using that as a loose guideline tonight. When I do the one that is, if I do this as one that is more exact, then I will go ahead and make all of these really precise. Just looking at my reference photo, where are those light spots? The lightest parts of my flowers. Now, when we get down into here, a lot of this gets blurry. I'm going to take my fine mist sprayer. I'm going to take a second brush. It's a little bit damp, not much. And I'm just going to smudge these out, the ones that are more out of focus. Again, I'll come back through with my darker colors, but just get this smudged on the edges, a little bit with the fine mist sprayer. Now, if there's too much water, whether it be with a fine mist sprayer or on this brush, it'll work like an eraser and just lift that paint. So you got to be careful there. If that's happening, it's just because you've got too much paint there. And let's see, this whole area, we're going to have some lighter colors. Let's go ahead and put those in now. Thing, the stuff that's in the background, I'm just smudging out. If it's too harsh, just a little mist with that fine mist sprayer. Okay, that blocks in kind of a loose mess of the lighter colors. Now we're going to shift to one shade darker. And it doesn't really matter. You could have started with the darks and worked your way up to lights. With acrylics, you can work either way. And I'm going to start going into the deep violet, so that darker color in there. Actually, I'm going to mix the two. I lied. I'm going to use a little bit of magenta and deep violet together. And I'm going to throw a little bit of black in there, so it's not quite that bright. There we go. Let's start pulling some of these shadows. Oh, this is going to actually be my darker color, so let's go ahead and do that next then, I guess. since it's already on the brush. And I'm just going to smudge that. So depending on where I want that, just softening those edges. This is just a clean brush. The brush in the darker brown is just a clean, slightly damp brush. Again, if it's got too much water, like I just reloaded it with water, I've got to wipe most of it off on my paper towel. The more water like the paint, if it has more water, then I want less water on the brush that I'm mixing with or blending out with. Smudging those edges. I'm focusing on the edges, not the inside. And just a few brush strokes. See how it's just really quick? If you spend too much time trying to blend, you are going to create a hot mess. A couple brush strokes, stop. Some of these can be a little bit harsher that don't have to be blended out. Just softening some of these. These have lighter colors, so we'll skip that. Let's see, there's his leg, and then there's a light or a dark blob of something around here. It's actually a little bit higher in the reference photo, but whatever. We'll pretend the wind blew. I'm gonna get a little bit of water on that canvas just to smudge that out. Now, if you smudge over an area that is not completely dry yet, like the light pink, if I start working over that, I'm gonna start lifting that, and it's not gonna be cute. It's not a good lift, because it's starting to dry, so it will give me, yeah, it's starting right there. I've got to be careful not to overdo that. This is really out of focus back here. I'm going to switch to a mop brush. So, okay, the mop brush only works wet into wet. So wet paint blending up against water, like where I mixed it with water, it'll work. Or wet paint into wet paint. But where I've put wet paint and it's up against dry, it is not going to blend smooth. It's going to be very rough looking. And I will get that Oriole Beagle in just a moment, but I can't stop right now because of the dry time of some of this. I need to get this blocked in. But thank you. I can't act excited or the boys will know. Let's see, there's a big leaf over here. Let's just, or petal, whatever it is. Want to get some of the out of focus areas in first. Oops, that wasn't supposed to be there, so we'll just work that in. You're going to have stuff like that happen where you're like, oh, that color wasn't supposed to be, who cares? Like, yeah, that's actually kind of my best advice for any artist. Calm down. These mistakes are not a big deal. Work it in. When you're too controlling, you want to be good, you want to do your best, but when you're too controlling over every brush stroke, I feel like you're more likely to not like the end result. You're going to be too critical. Sometimes you're going to make a mess and it's okay. Just work it in. There was a famous, I want to say it was blues or jazz. I listen to classical more. I don't know the difference between those two styles. Don't throw anything at me. But anyway, there was a really famous musician, and people would ask, like, you do these crazy, like, it's just crazy, these riffs and all of these like solos, and how do you never mess up? And he's like, I mess up all the time. I just repeat. When I screw something up, I repeat it. So now you think that mess up was intentional. Make your screw ups look intentional. Maybe not with everything in life, but at least with painting and music. Okay, this brush is starting to get a little bit dry. Actually, I need to reload these brushes. That's pretty good with the darks. Wait, I'm gonna get a little bit more right here. You're good, you're good. You're good. And when you're doing it and you're looking at all these abstract shapes, it is not going to look good until you back up at the end. I have a feeling this one's going to run an hour and a half to get me done, finished, because the bee will actually be the faster part for me. It's the flowers that take me a little bit longer to look good. Okay, you boys want a super chat? Thank you, Oriole Beagle. One for you, one for you. That's it. Go lay down. I know they're not the crunchy ones. You got the good ones this time. Go lay down. Lay down. So no need to lick all the crumbs off the floor, Gibson. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm going to dry this and then start in with some of these mid and lighter tones. Okay, let's see. We've got to get some lights and we've got to get some mid-range. Let's do the mid-range first. Oh wait, let's go with a bit smaller. So there's my blending brush. We've got this brighter magenta on some of this. I'm going to mix magenta and deep violet, but I'm not mixing white or anything else in there with it. Let's let this be a bit more bright. Actually, I should have probably put the white in there first. I lied. I have to add white because that's not going to show up otherwise. This will be a little bit more in focus with the bee, kind of. Oh, now it's playing Yanni on my my playlist. It's not even a playlist. It just goes automatically after I listen to Enya. Like, this is similar. You might like this. God, it's 90s all over again. I'm so old. And apparently a dork because I love Yanni. Well, some of it, not all of it. Some of it gets a little bit too synthetic-y. How many of you guys know who I'm talking about? I'm just looking at my reference photo and going, okay, there's a lighter kind of pink there. I'll put that there. Close is close enough for this. We'll be a bit more exact when we get to the bee. Smudge some of that. See how I just add a little bit, smudge it out, but don't over smudge. That's like the biggest tip I can give you with doing this style or this technique. Do not over smudge. Just a couple brush strokes is generally going to be enough. See, just a little bit and stop. This is not one of those, oh, it looks good. More will look better. No, it will not. It really won't. There's a little bit of white mixed still in with this color, which is why it's showing up so well on some of these. Smudge that out a little bit. Oh, I'm already liking it. Like, I can see this is gonna be a good one. See how it starts softening things too, where I layer one over the other. Now that looks a little bit more pink on camera. Mine's more magenta, but it doesn't really matter which you go with here. Sort of out of focus, so let's get a little bit of that in there. And that is not what goes there, but I think it'll look nice. So I'm getting to that stage where I'm like, I think mine, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly the photo. I just think it'd look nicer if I had a little bit of color right there. A little bit darker. I'm going darker so that when I come on top with the white, it's really going to stand out in some of these areas. I think that's actually pretty good. Oh, I'm missing a whole like section that needs to happen in here between his little legs. And I am okay if the grain shows through on some of this. It just looks like it's part of the piece. Okay, let's get some detail in here. Start coming through with the white. I'm going to be using a rake brush for some of these little hairy guys. But I'll also be using the same brush to soften some of this out too. So let's see what rake brush I've got. This one, yeah, he should work. This is a 1/4 inch low Cornell rake brush. With the rake, oh, even low Cornell comes apart. With the rake brush, think of it as like, here's your normal filbert, there's your rake brush. Whole bunch of brush strokes in whole bunch of little individual lines with one brush stroke. The trick here, one, you need a smooth canvas. If your canvas is bumpy, brush isn't gonna work well. Two, this has to be thinned out with a decent amount of water. If you don't have enough water mixed in with your paint, not gonna show up. So I'm going to, just think of it how you would load a liner brush. We need a good amount of water for that to work well. If you push too hard, not gonna work. So let's see, we've got some little wispy white guys over here. There's some weird little details in there. And see what I mean? But it's our contrast, our values. Are our lights light enough, our darks dark enough? That's what's going to make this look realistic. I mean, loosely so, because it's an hour-long painting, or an hour and a half. But the perfect color isn't going to make a difference. None of mine are the perfect color. Just softening that inner edge. And I keep stressing that because I think it's one of the biggest hangups for people working who are new to art. This one's going to get blended out more because it's more out of focus. They're so worried about color that they just can't move forward. And you are never going to move forward until you get over it. Like it's just not that big of a deal. Color is one of those things in most cases, I think it just starts to make sense on its own. And once it gets to the point where you're actually worried about color theory, you've got more experience, so it's going to mean something different for you then than it would now. Like, I don't even recommend beginners worry about color theory. I mean, understand your basic of the color wheel. What are complementary colors? That's helpful. But other than that, don't even worry about it. I'm just looking at these weird abstract shapes. Pick one and copy it. Doesn't need to be exact. Soften that a little bit too much there. Don't be afraid of that high contrast. That is what's going to make this look good. It's not about my detail because I don't have a lot of detail. That high contrast with my lights and my darks is what's going to make this look like you're looking at something real. I'm going to soften that edge. Pull that white out a bit more. Get a few little specks in there for some details. So like this color on that leaf or petal, not even close to my reference photo. Doesn't matter. And I joined a beginner art, I'm in a few different beginner art groups, because I wanted to see some of the problems that the students, I mean, I know from my own students that are having, but that seems to be the biggest thing that comes up, this hang up on color. And I was like, the color is the least of your problem, sweetie. again, look at that photo. Where are some lights and darks? Don't need to be exact. Like none of this is even close to exact. But when you back up, it's like, wow, that looks like flower. Well, it will look like flowers. Actually, that looks like a weird lump of, I don't even know. And I can always glaze over it and tint the color, so no big deal if I don't like something. Little fluffy ball thing here. Again, if you are using a rake brush, you can use a liner brush for this too. You can just sit there. Yours will take a little bit longer to do that. But if you're having a hard time with that rake brush, it may be your canvas is too bumpy. It may be that you did not thin that paint down enough, and it may be that you're pushing too hard. Those are like the most common issues with a rake brush not quite working right. Smudge that. Just give a little bit of a light area back there. We've got some little blurry wisps back here. I'm just going to smudge those in. I can hold the brush to the side so it works kind of like a liner. Wade, I'm assuming that was you. No, it might have been. Somebody was chewing it themselves. A little bit of a light smudge there. Little out of focus circles. That ended up being way bigger than I planned on, but whatever. I should have used a smaller brush, but that actually worked okay, so I'm not mad about it. Almost ready for the bee. There's that leg, and there's a floof ball thing. It's going to be you. It's not the same place, but whatever it is now. Another floof in the background. We'll just smudge that a little bit. Add a few more floofs just because they're cute. Needs to be a little bit lighter in the center there, so we'll just throw a little bit of white there. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I may pull some brighter colors. Oh, and we have, good timing, from Fly Me to the Moon, says Fat Hounds. Gibson's head just popped up. He's like, what? I would like to be a fat hound. Would you like a super chat? Thank you so much. Okay, there's one for you. There's a bad cow. Good boys. Very tasty. What do you think? Look at all the space over here now. Is this better? Go lay down. Go lay down. All that space doesn't mean you can stay here, though. Go lay down. Cow. Wade, lay down. He's very confused about the whole turning around process. Okay. Oh, I'm liking this. Okay. B. So I'm going to start with the black. I am going to find a round brush, or no, I'm not. This one is a Zero. Keep Smiling is the brand of this cheap Amazon brush. I don't like cheap, no acrylic paints, no canvas. I don't do cheap with that. Paintbrushes. I am a huge fan of cheap paintbrushes. Maybe because I'm so hard on them, it's just easier to replace them more often. And I mean, they're flimsy. This thing doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't matter. It works. It does what I need to do. Need to do what I need it to do. So let's go ahead and just fill in some of these dark areas first. You can use a round if that's easier for you. Let's see. There's a little leg. Oh, that's part of a flower. This isn't a leg. There's his leg. Wait, no. Yeah. I don't know. And then it is now. So one segment, two segment this way. And his little toe. Okay. And we've got his little snoot. Or something. I don't know. I don't know. Bee anatomy. Nick can correct me. Maybe that's his antenna and not his snoot. I'm just looking at the photo and copying where I approximately see a light or dark area. I know that's his eye. I got that part down. Just lightly shading some of this before I get the other colors in there. Let's see, we've got a shadow in here. We'll just block in a little bit. Where are his legs? What did I do? Okay, you're the big leg. And then you're a leg. You're a flower. There's where my confusion is. I'll have to shade that a little bit. I didn't finish drawing it all the way. Flower. Stop trying to paint the flower as a beanie. And then these legs are in little segments, so I want to make sure those are separate. Toe. And then that's a leg. I'll still have to put a bunch of fur on him. It's winter. He hasn't shaved in a while. No, I'm not speaking from experience. Okay, let's see. Little fat leg. Another one. Tiny segment. And then that away. Bee-toe. And then a shadow coming up there. And he's got a dark part of his belly in here that'll poke out through the fur. This brush actually will work kind of like a rake brush because it's already splitting, so we'll use that for this. Flammy said he has some big legs. Stop being judgy. He may have eaten a little bit too much over the holidays, along with not shaving his legs. Not speaking from experience. Don't worry, Bee. I can relate. I too enjoyed too much pumpkin muffin cake cookie things from the bakery. But pumpkin's my favorite. You have pumpkin flavored things, I have to go buy it. I don't care if it's not good for me. And that my legs are also big now, like the bees. Actually, his body comes back way back here, so that shadow, that hint of black right over the wings there. We've got a hint of shadow here, just lightly going over that. Okay, I've got to fix that flower before I go too far here. I don't even care what color it is, I just need to fix it because right now I've got a line there that shouldn't be. Fixed. Okay. Now, let's go ahead. I'm going to do everything, all the fluff. I'm just going to go ahead and do that with white, and then I'll glaze color over it and then come back again with white highlights. I think that is going to be my fastest way to get that done. I want my rake brush. That one was working really well for me, and I'm just going to simplify this by using white. Now I can sit here and try to mix in the perfect yellow and all that first. Why? I'm going to have to glaze color anyway because I've got to use so much white in order to make the first show up against the green. So let's just make it easier, and you can do a liner brush. You don't have to use a rake brush. I just want to pay attention to the direction of this fur. And I don't care if I go a little over the eye or anything like that because I haven't finished that. I've got to come back and paint it anyway. So when I glaze this, I'm still going to see all the details of the fur. I've got I can already tell, I don't know if you can tell, there's like kind of clumpy white on there. That's too much. I'm going to dab some of that off on my easel. So one of the things I do on my easel, which is pretty cool, I have it lined, this part here, what everything sits on, is lined with shelving paper. And the reason for that is I get so much paint on that over the years, it starts to build up so thick that my canvases won't set straight. Like they just won't sit even as I work. It's really annoying. That's how much paint gets built up. So if I put shelving paper every few years, I just remove the shelving paper and put a new piece on, and I never have a problem with that buildup anymore. But I also use the front of that. I'm constantly wiping my brushes on it when it's a bit they're too thick. If a little bit of this green shows through, great. Extra shading without extra detail or extra work. Now right now everything's going to be really flat looking because it's just solid white. And that's fine. And watch the direction. A little bit of texture shows through the wing. Change his direction here a little bit. He's got a really fluffy white armpit. Come on, bee, we at least shaved that during the winter. So I'm always just getting all around lazy, but whatever. This is more dense, but I still need it to have a lot of white in there. Otherwise, when I come on top with the golden yellow colors, it's not going to show up. He's so fluffy, like my jumping spiders. Which I posted on Facebook and MeWe. Well, I didn't post on I posted on my personal Facebook. God, they're cute. I'm actually going to provide some of those photos for Patreon, but they're going to be bonus ones because I know some of you guys are really weirded out by spiders. And I'm not going to post it to where you have to look at it. I'm going to just, when you download your photos, check if you have a weirdness about spiders, make sure you don't download the one that says jumping spider. But I got some good shots of them. They're so cute. They must be painted. They're so fluffy, much like the bee. Why does everyone admit that bees are adorable, but so many people don't see the cuteness in jumping spiders yet? I don't get it. I'm also for the reference photos that hopefully will be up tomorrow night. No, they have to be up tomorrow night. It's the last day of the month. The February photos. I'm doing a special one this month, which is taking me forever to edit. I've got 3 done so far, but they're all black and white. But to do black and white with the black background actually takes a lot of work to edit all of, so they'll take a little bit longer. But for those of you who are working on your values, these are going to be perfect, and they're so pretty. Yeah, doing a good black and white photo is not as simple as just desaturating it. Like you've got to do a lot to make it work. There's a lot of editing involved. Okay, how do I feel about your fluff? It's probably good. So let me dry this, and then I'll start glazing, and then I'll come back through with more white highlights. See what I mean? The bee's actually pretty fast. I recently, a couple weeks ago, got 2 new Regal jumping spiders. So I have my daring, or bold, however you want to call it, jumping spider already. And now I have the 2 Regal girls. God, they're so fluffy and adorable. So yeah, that's what I've got. And then I found another one I just rescued. What do I need? I need raw sienna. This is raw sienna. It is old, so I may have to get a new batch out because it's kind of thick from drying up. But I rescued another jumping spider, a tan one, from my bathtub the other night. So I'm feeding him and fattening him up. I'm going to actually set that one free. He's a tiny, tiny baby. Yeah, I need more out. That is too dry and gunky. So I'm looking for raw sienna. Should be. Oh, you're almost empty. Not much is coming out of that one. That's about ready for the trash. And I'm thinning that with water. And we're going to start with this in this area and pull that out. Just get that a little bit wet. And let's just take a clean brush and smudge that right out to the white. And then this color is also going to go down by his rear. I don't care if it goes over the black a little bit because we've got to come back through with black anyway. And then I'm going to pull a little bit. I'm now going to mix some yellow. This is cadmium yellow medium hue. Basically just any lighter yellow. I don't care which one. And we're going to throw some of that different shade of yellow where it gets lighter. And I'm just going to smudge that out again so that fades. Got a little bit on his bangs. Nick, how much am I making you cringe by all of my inaccurate bee anatomy descriptions? Nick was a beekeeper, so I'm probably driving him insane right now. A little bit over here. Let's give him some yellow on his leg hair, just a little bit. Okay, I actually need to get a little bit of white mixed in here to show through the wing, just a little. Nick says he had his own made-up terms. Okay, well, good. But I'm not driving him so crazy. I'm going to dry this. I've got a little bit more of the shading and a little bit more of the highlights I want to do on that fur, and then we'll get into shading the black and the wings. He says tarantulas aren't bad. Mine is adorable. She has pink ballet slippers. Look at pink toe tarantula. Avic, Avic. She's so cute. Okay. I'm going to pull a little bit of raw sienna, or I'm sorry, red oxide. I don't know my colors. Now you know the truth about behind why I say colors don't matter. I don't even know my own. I want to get a little bit more of this tone in a couple of spots. I could also mix my magenta tones in with my raw sienna, would work too, but I'm going to pull a little bit in here just between the black. See how, look how much deeper it makes some of this look. Let me see if it looks better on that camera, if you can see a little bit more. Yeah, you can kind of see him a little bit better there. I don't know if I can fix this so you can see better. There you go. And I'm just going to pull that reddish tone into a few of these, especially between the black when it transitions. Remember, this will get a lot lighter too because we still pull highlights over it. So if it's a little too dark right now, it's no big deal. Okay, going to rinse those brushes out. That looks, I mean, mine is kind of fuzzy at this point. Let me make sure that that's not something I can fix. Sharpness, nope, that is accurate. Okay, let's see, Wade, stop. Good boy. Let's do the black next. Oh, we have, actually that works out really well. From CMS Steph says, Pablo Puppy wants you to wake the boys up, please. Look at them, they know. Would you boys like a super chat from Pablo Puppy? Yeah, you can come get a super chat, Wade. Good boy. Look at you waiting to make sure I meant it for real. You're such a good boy. I mean, mostly you're a bad cow, but you are being very good. You're both being weirdly good tonight. Yo, what happened? Did my puppies get replaced? Because these ones are better than usual. Yeah, they are. Okay, I have to work. Go lay down. I know, I want to stop and give you kisses too, but go lay down. Lay down, boys. Lay down. Like, but we thought maybe we could get kisses. Lay down, Wade. Wade, oh my God, he loves kisses. Kiss him on his cheek. Oh, he thinks it's the best thing that ever happened. So cute. Okay. Gibson moans as he lays down. Cow, lay down. The dragon doesn't want to see you. Dragon went back to bed anyway. Okay. We were on this camera. Let's see. So I'm going to start with the black, and I'm going to grab a, this is a round. This one's a Simply Simmons. What is this, a number 8 round? And I'm listing these off. You don't need to use the same brushes as me. None of that even matters. I'm just showing you what I'm using. Go for something kind of close. Probably make your life a little easier. I'm going to mix some blue in with the white. Actually, I'm going to go with more purples or magentas. I lied. We'll do that for the shine on the eye. And I'll put more definite white as well. I'm going to take a clean brush and smudge that out a little bit. There's a little bit of a line there that breaks that eye up. We've got some highlights going in there. Highlights on the legs before I put the fluff. lines in here. Just paying attention where those highlights are. They're a little bit wiggly. Oh God, this music is just, I think this woman's out there singing to sheep is what it sounds like yodeling. How did we move on to this? Hold on, we have to stop so I can fix this. This is just unacceptable. You know what, let's just go back and listen to Enya all over again. Problem solved. Okay, sorry about that. Got little highlights. The harder you push, the thicker your line is going to be. I see in a lot of these beginner groups where people are looking for some magical pen to get their fine details, learn to use a liner brush. That pen is a crutch you do not want. You will not have the level of control that you need if you are using the pen for everything from signing your name to getting tiny details. It looks like a pen and it doesn't look cute. We'll throw some of that purpley color in here. It's kind of cute. Unlike using a paint pen. Oh, we have another one. Good timing because I can stop for a second. Do you boys want a super chat from Jal? Thank you. So I'm butchering your name. I know I am, and I'm never going to remember because I don't remember anything. One for you, one for the cow. Good boys. Thank you so much. Was that tasty? That's all you get. Go lay down. Down. Go lay down. Lay down. Cow. I know, turning around is so hard. Lay down. Thank you again. Oops, not me. You don't need to see me. You need to see this. Okay. Now, as I get into here, I'm going to start mixing. Actually, we'll pull this up so you can see the colors that I'm mixing. I'm going to be mixing my violet and some of my raw sienna. Actually, I can pull a bit of red oxide in there too. Gibson, lay down. That should work for the wings. Good boy. And we're just going to start lining in. See, as much as possible, I just want to use the colors that I'm already using. I don't want to invent. Actually, I do want to switch to a bigger brush. I don't want to be inventing new colors. I don't need to go get brown. Like, it's easy to look at that and think, well, that's brown. Yeah, kind of. But I can mix that with the colors that I have. So by my raw sienna, my red oxide, I've already used that. Throw in some magenta. Good enough. Is it exact? No, but it's good enough. Oh, I see that. I'll get that in just a second, Rebecca. Thank you. I can't get excited or the boys will know. Let me get the wings in first. Kind of wavy on the back, and then we straighten out. And I'll get some more definite lines in there in a moment. But I'm going to throw that in there, and then I'm going to take a clean brush that's slightly damp. That's not damp anymore. Now it's slightly damp. We're going to smudge that out. Like mine, it has a little bit too much magenta compared to the reference photo. I don't care. The thing is, I'm using colors I've already used in the photo, so it goes, or in the rest of the painting. If you start introducing too many colors, too many different colors, you're going to have a harder time making things look like they're supposed to be there. If I mix this from colors I've already used, I am much more likely to have something that feels like it's supposed to, like you get more harmony in your piece. You start throwing in like, oh, I need brown, let me grab the brown paint, but there's not brown anywhere else, you're going to have a much harder time getting harmony in your painting. Make it easier on yourself. Use less colors. You can use way less colors than even I used here tonight. Just a reminder, you can still bid on this guy. He's definitely going to be cute, but I'm also not mad if I end up keeping him because, seriously, he is cute. That actually looks really good. And then we'll come through and do highlights. We're almost done with him. Highlights, and we need to give him furry legs. So let me rinse my brush. That needs to dry anyway, so this is a good chance to get Rebecca's art gave for celebrate their third. Oh, this is your third super on a live stream. Thank you. Boys, would you like a super chat from Rebecca? Gibson already knew. His head was popped up. Thank you so much. Oh, there we go. Oh, you both got big ones that time. Thank you. You are really soft, Gibson. Oh, I don't know. You need a bath, though. Okay, go lay down. I don't know why you guys need to know that right now. Go lay down. Thank you again. Lay down. Lay down. Wait, you've got all this space. You don't even need to make a U-turn. You just, I mean, just turn. You don't need a 3-point turn, I mean. Gibson, lay down. Gibson. Okay. So now let's start getting some shiny spots on the bee. Actually, the bee's wings, I'm just going to leave that for a second. I'm going to start doing some of the floof. We'll come back to the shiny spots on the bee's wings. But I'm going to go back to my rake brush. Get a little bit of water in there. I'm going to wipe some of that off on the front of my canvas because I definitely have too much. Oh, too much. Wipe that off. I've got to thin that with a bit more water. I've got too much paint and not enough water. So now I'm just paying attention. Where are those brighter highlights? I've got to pull some in here. What if mine aren't perfect? It doesn't matter, go for close, like everything else. It's a little too heavy there. I'm not trying to completely cover up all that yellow. I'm just getting some highlights on top of it. So we've got a definite lighter area in here. This whole area is a lot lighter. And then I'll do the liner brush for a lot of that. Actually, I can use the liner brush for most of this. I'm just going to lightly start wiping some of the highlights on the wing. If it's a bit bumpy looking, I just need to take a clean, slightly damp brush and smudge that out. I'm still using the rake brush, but I'm smudging it so it doesn't look like a rake brush. I could switch to a normal filbert if I wasn't lazy. But the laziness wins. Highlight just on the tip there. Let's pull a little bit in further. Just slightly blending that with that second brush. Actually, I'm going to do the rest of that with a liner. Let's switch. And actually, I take it back. I want to fluff this area up by his eye with the black because that's a bit too uniform there for my taste. Where's my, oh, there it is. Or, actually, you might work pretty good. I don't know which one I want. That's not a liner. I don't know what I just grabbed. We've got some pollen all over him, I think. My stomach is growling like crazy. My dinner is waiting for me out there. It knows. I'm going to twist that paintbrush with the water is that camera working? Yeah, it's working. So I can get thin lines, and then I'm just gonna barely add any pressure. And then they like cross in a few areas. I'll have to come back through and get some black lines as well. Let's see. Just adding a few little shine bits, too much. And I can add a little bit more than the reference photo has. It just makes the wings look like the light's catching. Makes them stand out a bit more. I'm going to put a little bit more highlights on some of the eye there. I'm going to come through with some red oxide on a couple of these little joints. A few little individual hairs. Whenever I use a rake brush, I will normally come back through and add some individual finer, like more controlled hairs, just so that they're not too uniform. Oh, he is freaking cute. Okay, what was the other thing? Oh, some black hairs. Got to get some variation on his leg hairs. Jason, yes, you can get a look at the reference photo. Like I tell you every week, in the video description, the link is for the reference photo. You can download that. You can put that anywhere on the screen you like. Giving you crap because you know I say it every week. I don't even have the reference photo on this computer. And here's the thing. It doesn't need to be exactly the reference photo. Like that's the other one. Like it needs to be close, but don't worry too much about everything being the same. I mean, if I'm going for something super, super realistic, that's going to be different. And that's going to be something that I spend a week working on, not an hour and a half. My stomach growling agrees. Just a few little hints of where those stripes are. And there was one other thing. I need to sign it. For some reason I was thinking, oh, I remember the red oxide. Jason says, yeah. There we go. And he's done. So to sign it, the trick that I do to get, well, I don't do it because I've been signing my name so long, I don't really need to. But if you struggle with getting your signature to look like your signature, where do I want to sign it? Here or here? I want it here. Take a white charcoal pencil, General's white charcoal pencil, and I'm just going to sign my name. Actually, I'm going to do this in my lap, so I apologize. You're not really going to see it, but and make sure you don't go all the way to the bottom. Your frame is usually going to overlap a little bit there, so you don't want that chopped off. Okay, and I need my liner brush again, and I will sign this with pink. Oops, I just smudged paint. So here, I can show you really quick how to fix when you smudge paint where it does not belong. I'm guessing there was paint on the side of my finger or something. Just take some water. That must have happened a while ago. It was starting to dry a little bit. And it works like an eraser. as long as it's not dry. If it all the way dried, that wouldn't have worked. Problem solved. Okay, back to signing the work. Not bad, hour and a half. That's about what I thought this would take me. I'm just going to use my magenta that I already had mixed. So it's like a pink color. And now I just trace what I wrote comfortably, and I do it in multiple areas. So it's kind of blurry. No, you can't see on that one. That does not help you at all. Like with the A, like one half, then the other half. Little line, lift the brush, lift the brush. I'm constantly lifting the brush for each letter is maybe 2 or 3 or 4 brush strokes. Like a 0 is done in 2 brush strokes for half and half. You're not going to run the brush. That did not come out right at all. Hold on. Let's just erase you and redo that. Had a little bit too much water on there, so it didn't quite come out right. There we go. Okay, and then when it dries, I can erase the charcoal pencil. Let me show you in this camera what it looks like. Again, you can bid on this. It is, oh, somebody bid on it. Oh, looks like we've got a couple bids. Let me show you in this screen because it looks so, God, this looks good. Oh, whoever gets this is going to love it. It looks almost blue-green to, I guess it depends on the lighting because it does kind of look a little bit blue-green over here, but it's more green, I would say, than the blue-green tone that this camera is picking up on. But there you go. There is a finished bee. How cute is he? Not bad for an hour and a half. I am quite pleased with him. So, yay, somebody is going to love him, trust me. Okay, so we've got questions coming in. Couple things I wanted to talk about too. One, really quickly, art scams. There's so many people, like the scammers are just going to town right now. One of the things I just found this out, I didn't realize, you know how on scammers, people are like, how could you even buy that? They misspell everything, it's so obvious. Apparently that's done on purpose, because if somebody is willing to ignore the fact that the English, like totally broken grammar or broken English, everything's misspelled, everything's messed up. If somebody is willing to dismiss that and still keep talking to the person, they're much more likely to be scammable. So that's kind of interesting. But if somebody wants to pay with an NFT, it's a scam every time. Oh, you see those words, NFT, scam. And if they contact you and say, not an NFT, also a scam. Those words even come into the conversation, scammer. If they want to send you the money on PayPal, so they say they pick out a painting they want on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever, and they're like, I want to buy, usually they'll say your paintings, like they don't even care what they get from you, they just want paintings. Sometimes they'll claim to want multiples. That's not normal. They'll want to send you, and I've talked about this before, but I want to bring it up because this question continuously comes up. They'll tell you that they want to pay on PayPal, and what's your email that you use on PayPal? And you will often say, well, give me yours, I'll send you an invoice. They will tell you, no, I'm already logged in, it's easier, just give me your PayPal. And you think, well, that's easy enough, like no big deal. So you send it to them. And then they will say, for some reason there's a problem. I sent the money, but there's a problem with PayPal. In order for me to get the confirmation, they're going to send you a code, and I need you to tell me that code to verify the payment went through. Because obviously you're not seeing the payment in your account. What they're doing is resetting your password. They now know your email address because they got it from you from wanting to send you the money, and they're resetting the code that texts it. The verification code will be texted to your phone, and they're trying to get you to give that to them. They're trying to manipulate you into thinking that it's just to verify that. So no, you send them an invoice, or better yet, if you are selling your artwork, have it on Etsy, have it on eBay, have it on your website, have it somewhere else. Somebody is interested, you always send them to that link. If they have a problem, the payment doesn't work, they can't do it, scam, dismissed. Now, okay, in my case, I do sometimes have problems with my website, but if somebody actually went to my website, I can see that they did, like what's going on, so I can tell that it's not a scam. It's a little bit different in my case. But if any of those cases, somebody's trying to send you money through PayPal and doesn't want you sending the invoice for some reason, they just want your email, scam, done. The easiest way to protect yourself is to have all of this set up on your own website, or even, and I don't like Etsy, But here's the thing, it's an easy way for you to set something up, or eBay, to have something set up and you can send someone to it. So it's going to weed out scammers, because obviously a scammer is not just going to go buy from Etsy. They're not interested in that. They're trying to get they're trying to hack into your PayPal account in most of those cases. So just be aware of that. Also, we have from CMS Steph, says Pablo Puppy wants to see those big boys again. Please. Gibson's like, what? Me? Do you boys want a super chat from Pablo Puppy? Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, I need to put a little stand over here so I don't have to bend over to get these. Here you go. Oh, geez, a little chompy there, sir. A little too excited, cow. Good boy. Say thank you so much, Pablo Puppy. That's it. Go lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Boys, today. Cow. Cow. Do you see that bad cow? This is why he's like, wait, go lay down. Go on. Lay down. He's like, no, I'm just going to stand here. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to tell you, this is coming. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different on one of these next Patreon lessons. Okay, so I'm redoing my studio. You can kind of see around the walls, or all of the walls are painted. Before I had one mural done. I continued it up part of the roof, and oh Lord, that was a lot of work. And all of the walls are now painted. I'm going to do gallery glass, so it'll make my windows look like stained glass. What gallery glass is, it's actually, I'll show you really quick, a little sample. Let's just grab you. And where's my paper, or my thing? So gallery glass is a way to paint, and it looks like stained glass. So you can see these are actually, this is my color chart. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see through, you can't really tell that you can see, let's see, can you see my finger through behind it? Like it's translucent like stained glass would be, but it's paint. And they actually peel off if you don't want it there. So you paint your window with it, you don't want it, peels off. But it goes on, which one is this? This is violet. Where is my violet? So it goes on, let's see if you can kind of see, really opaque. But this is how you paint it. Just straight out of the tube, and you swirl it, and you can mix other colors with it and swirl it straight out of the tube onto your little sample. And that is, like, you can see how, look how opaque that is. It dries looking like this. Now it looks different when light is coming through the back of it. Obviously that would be way different. You can kind of see maybe over here. You can see how it's kind of well, no, you really can't see. I don't have the right light set up for that. But anyway, you get the point. I'm going to be doing a lesson, and I'm going to provide my template for that too. I'm doing mushrooms for that, but I figured I may as well turn it into a Patreon lesson for you guys, so you can learn how to do this too. It's really fun. It's something even kids can do. So if you've got little ones, you can have a 6-year-old and they'll do just as good of a job as an adult. Like, that's how easy this stuff is. It is so fun. You can do it on a mirror. You can do it as something you want to hang. You can do it on, like, I used to do this on my bathroom mirrors, like a design so it looked like stained glass around it. It's fun. It's pretty. You don't like it anymore? Peels off. No issue. So that's a fun thing. And I'm not going to turn my Patreon, don't worry, it's not turning into craft channel, but it's a kind, you know, I am going to be painting something, and I thought it'd be fun for you guys, for those who would be interested in. So that's, and I've got over 400 normal art lessons, so I can do one craft. Also, Art by MB said, what tricks do the pups know? Would love to see one. This is what they know. You want a super chat? That's the trick. That is what they know. They also know to lay down. They walk well on a leash. They know that when they're going to get dinner, they have to lay down in their beds, and they have to wait for me to say clear before they're allowed to get up and go to the bowls. They know which bowls theirs are. They know go to bed. They know before they come into the house, they have to wait until I give them the command that they can enter. Those are their commands. And to come, obviously. That's it. Go lay down. And they know what go lay down means. They just choose to ignore me because they're sight hounds, and that's what sight hounds do. Lay down. You might think, well, don't they know how to sit? No, they're greyhounds. They don't sit. Like, they physically can't sit comfortably. Their bodies aren't made for it. Some greyhounds can. Most, including mine, can definitely not. So yeah, those are, that is the extent of their, I don't think there's anything else that's like, oh, that's cute. Oh, they know what go pee means. Like, they can do that. Gibson's better at it. Wade is just a pain with that, but Gibson's really good about it. So Gibson will go squeeze out like 2 drops when you tell him to go. So that's like one of his best ones. So yeah, that is the extent of my dog's tricks. Jessie, when I had my Italian Greyhounds, Jessie had a bunch of tricks she knew. Like, she would wave, she would do ta-da. She did a bunch of stuff. These guys are like, meh. We don't have to listen to you. Okay. So on to the questions. We have from KRC Campbell Art said, do you spray water on the palette paint occasionally so the paint stays moist? Have you tried Golden's Open Acrylics? I have not. I have no interest in my acrylics drying slower than what they already, like if I need them on the canvas to dry slower, I mist water on the canvas. There's no, like it's not an issue. So I don't like the idea of an open acrylic's going to do the opposite of what I want an acrylic paint to do. So I kind of played around with one once, not anything serious. And I think I still have some here that I could do as like an actual test, but it just doesn't, I don't know. There have been other things that I thought I was going to hate and I loved. So maybe I'm completely wrong and I'll change my mind. I'll let you know if I do. But as far as misting the palette, no, I don't need to really. I mean, it's Texas, it's kind of humid here, but it's not really an issue. The only thing that dries on the palette, these areas where it's mixed, like that's mostly starting to dry. I just scrape that up, but these chunks of paint stay wet a really long time. Now, the type of paint that you're using is going to make a difference too. If I use Liquitex soft body or heavy body, they dry so fast, frustratingly fast. Like on the palette, they dry fast on the canvas, they dry fast here. Liquitex Basics stay wet a lot, like it's weird how much longer. So they're not an open acrylic, obviously, but the difference, so the type of acrylics you're using, you may be finding frustration in that in the paints themselves. They just, and it's not the heavy body or the soft body are bad paints. I don't like them, but they're good paints. They just don't work for how I like to work. So that's what I do. And for this, my palette is a big Tupperware basically. So I will sometimes take a paper towel, a wet paper towel, put it in there and seal it. When I put the lid on, it's like it's a Tupperware, and that can stay wet forever. This, I didn't do that this time, and this is from like a month ago. I think it's been, how long has it been? Like 3 weeks since the last time I painted, and most of this was still wet. I mean, it's starting to dry a little bit. If I would have put a wet paper towel, it'd be better, but okay. Dina said, you prefer watercolor or gouache? I've not used gouache enough to have a firm opinion on it. So I'm going to say watercolor just because I have a little bit more experience with it. Not that I'm like some great watercolor artist, but I don't have any. I'll let you know when I can afford to buy some gouache. Everything's too expensive right now. That's on a back burner. Let's see. Starving Artist Collective said, with the boys scoring so well with treats every Wednesday night, do you give them many during the rest of the week? Yeah, every single time they go potty, Wade gets one. Wade earns them for Gibson. Gibson is in and out all day, so he doesn't get it for that. But Gibson likes it outside. Wade hates outside, so it's like a big deal to get him to go out and be a good cow. So every single time he goes, he earns it for both of them. Or like at bedtime, or just because they're cute, or if somebody actually, like if I'm talking to my husband and one of us actually is like, he'll be like, oh, did you get many? I'm not going to SUPERCHATS. Did you get many of those? And they perk up. We have to obviously give it to them for that because they think that it means treat. Let's see. Pharaoh said, you use watercolor canvas as well when doing bigger work. No, the biggest I don't even know if those come with a 16 by 20. I think 11 by 14 is the biggest that I typically do with the watercolor canvas board. You don't get them that big, and if you get too big with a canvas board, even with Fredrix, as good as they are, they can start to warp. So the bigger it is, I mean, it's these little ones, you're very unlikely to have it warp. If you're using like the cheapy stuff from Michaels, those warp like crazy, or Hobby Lobby, they're the generic ones, Dick Blick, Art Alternatives, they warp because the wind blew. They're like Prismacolor level bad. So, how cute he is. I'm so excited with how he came out. But anyway, so no, I don't use bigger. I prefer this for smaller things. For bigger things, then I'm going to go with like a, if I want super smooth, Belgian linen canvas, or I can go with the Blue Label. Fredrix Blue Label is really smooth. Not quite as smooth as this, but still very smooth for bigger canvases. And then it's a stretch canvas. I think they do have it 16 by 20 with these. Yeah, I think I actually have some. But those really need to be framed because over the years that will start to warp, even with the best of the best. Janet said, I painted on a quality stretch canvas. It was tight, but it kept loosening up. My painting is varnished. Wetting the back helps, but not for long. Anything I can do? That shouldn't be happening. I'm trying to think why that is happening for you. I mean, a little bit loose is okay, but like flapping around in the wind's an issue. They do make a spray you can buy that will help shrink it into place. I've not personally used it, but maybe that would be a solution in your case. Normally, all I do is take a hairdryer, mist the back, and take a hairdryer, and it'll dry it back into place. So I've never had that not work. So honestly, I'm not sure on that one. I don't want to give you bad advice. Janet said, I painted, okay, that was the one. The Spyro fan said, how long does it take for you to finish a bigger painting? Sometimes I heard that it can take for 8 hours or longer. It depends on what it is. I mean, I did it's not actually hung it finally. The humpback whale that is swimming over the road, the surreal one in black and white, I did that in 2 nights. It was 2 very long nights, but it was 2 nights. So, and that was a 24 by 36. But sometimes I'll do a 24 by 36 that has so much detail that it might take me 4 weeks. It depends on what it is. Let's see. Art by MB said, I had a lab greyhound mix who always had trouble sitting. He also weighed 120 pounds. Jeez. He was huge and so lovable. My weighted blanket missed that dude. Aw. And I missed a bunch of questions above. Okay, let me scroll back up. Oh yeah, it must have jumped. Thank you. The Spyro fan said, hello, Lachri. I hope you're doing good today. My first time being here. Welcome. Such a beautiful background color for the bee painting. Thank you and welcome. Rob said, wore my magical creature merch in olive green this past weekend. Got some compliments. That is awesome. I need to make more. I've got some other design ideas. I love the artist definition ones. Basically, I'm making things that I personally want to wear because I figure if I want to wear it, you guys may be interested too. I've got some ideas. That's awesome. I want an olive green one, man. Now I'm going to have to go shopping again. Kathy Davis said, when you said phthalo green or blue, is that phthalo? I can't say it right. Yes, that is what it is. It is. I can't say the whole name. Ask me to say quidonkadonk. That's as close as I get. Quidonkadonk magenta is what I use tonight. Art of Raven D said, your dogs eat a lot of treats. I wish I had their metabolism right there with you. Kay and Maine said, how do you clean the big blending brush? You just dip the tip, whatever, this is the same type, dip the tip in water, not the whole thing, because the whole thing shouldn't have paint on it, just the tip in the water, and then you rub it in circles, rinse it off and then rub it in circles on a paper towel to dry it off. Now, I occasionally see artists who will use this to paint with. They scoop their paint. Does it work to actually like apply paint to the canvas? Sure, but I could also paint with my feet. It doesn't make it easier or better. It actually makes my life more difficult, so I don't know why you would do that. These are I can't say that word. These are a female dog to clean or wash all the way. They absorb so much paint. You would waste so much paint, so much time rinsing your brush, so much, like there's no benefit to applying the paint with this brush. People do it for like little clouds and little, like, okay, yeah, you came up with good results, but I could come up with good results with painting with my feet. That doesn't mean I'm going to. That doesn't make my life easier. I could also mow my lawn with a pair of scissors. That does not make my life easier. So when you see that, pretty much if you see an artist doing that, have some questions. And they can produce beautiful work. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying they're mowing their lawn with a pair of scissors. It's easier to take a filbert, apply the paint with something like this or a bigger brush. This is best used. Keep it dry and clean as much as possible. It doesn't work when it's wet. It has to be completely dry to work or it'll create streaks. And just use it to fan out, to soften up your brush strokes. But those who I watch artists that are good artists use these for doing clouds, and now we're doing this for a smooth background, and it's like that. You just made it so much harder on yourself. A bee to clean, they're absorbing so much paint, so you're wasting a crap ton of paint. I don't know how much they make, how they are able to afford that, but in this economy, with the recession and the inflation, oh dear God, the inflation, with all of that crap, speaking of inflation, $2.49, the current price on most of these is $4 right now, $3.50 to $4. They raised the price since one time, all at once. This one was Hobby Lobby. So yeah, and they actually told me it was inflation. So I made them give them all to me for the lower cost. Like, no, you're giving them all to me for the lowest price you have marked on this. Just because you didn't change the price is not my problem. I bought 75 of them. It took a while. God, I was a pain in the butt to them. I apologized so much for being a pain in the butt, but also it's not my fault you didn't tag your prices right. Point is, I don't know who can afford to be wasting paint because they decided to paint with a paintbrush that eats the paint. It's like this brush is an addict to paint and it can't stop eating them. It's like me and Skittles. It just can't stop. So no, use it, keep it, just use it to fan out is so much, you're just gonna get better results. Anyway, that was a really long rant about nothing. Moving on. Oh, my phone just locked. Why would you lock? Patreon plug time from Nick. I thank you for reminding me that. If you are not already, make sure to sign up for Patreon for as little as $6 a month. You get access to all, I have over 400. I used to say a new one every week, but lately I've been making extra long ones that are like 3 weeks worth in one video. So sometimes it skips a week because some of these projects I've been doing are like really involved and really long, like the Colleen colored pencil I just did. So yeah, God, that was a long one. But there's over 400 lessons and new ones, at least 2 new ones a month. And if it's only 2, they're really, really long ones. If they're shorter projects, obviously I can do one a week. So yeah, got a lot of lessons there. A lot of different rewards you can choose from too. Pharaoh said, I did a landscape on canvas with liquid text basics in the glass, and the grass specifically feels like sandpaper and looks cracked almost. I have a lot of layers on it. Did I do something wrong? Any way to fix it? Without seeing it, I can't know. I would need to like actually see it to be able to tell. If you want to post in one of our art groups on Facebook or on MeWe, or if you're one of my Patreon members, you can post on Discord, and those ones I'm more likely to see. But yeah, without seeing it, I don't know. It could have been just because it's Fredrix. Maybe it was a rougher canvas. Maybe you chose a red label or a heavyweight canvas that's going to be bumpier. So that's going to look like sandpaper. As far as cracking, I don't know what. I'd need to see it. There's no way for me to know without seeing it, unfortunately. The Spiral fan said, have you ever tried some of Europe's canvases before, like some of the UK's? I heard some of those are pretty good quality too. I prefer the Fredrix are made here in the US. Well, they were made in Mexico, but the main Fredrix company was here in the US, so I kind of rather support that, and it's easier as far as like, I'm not having to pay extra to have it imported. Now, I use a lot of products from the UK, don't get me wrong, or from different locations, but Carandosh is what, Sweden? But it's, if I can get it in the US, I do like that. So, and I'm sponsored by Fredrix, so at this point, no, I won't be trying other canvases. Like, it's the one thing I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of reviewing tons of them. It's like I found one that I love. I'm going to stick with that, and then I'm sponsored by them now, so that's the only company that I was willing to do that with, by the way. So, like, some companies, if they work with you, let's say on a certain colored pencil, they only want you using their colored pencils. I refuse to do that. I will use whatever I want to use. Except for canvases, I had already sworn off anything but Fredrix because that was just, I've always had great luck with that. And I'm not going to spend, let's say I spend 4 weeks on a painting and find out, oh, this canvas has some issues. I'm not putting that kind of work into something I can't trust. So that's why I just stick with Fredrix all around. But that's also why I was willing to sign the contract that says I only use Fredrix because they were already the only one that I used. They're the only one that I trust. That's not to say there aren't other good ones out there, but I'm at a point in my career now where my work, most of it is very valuable, and I'm not going to risk that on a canvas to find out, like just to test and see how it's going to be. I mean, I guess I could do small quickie projects on that, but it's like, yeah, I just stick with Fredrix. I know they're good. And I don't want to pay extra to have stuff from Europe shipped, but I don't have to. Art Raven D said, I'm terrible at suggesting colors anyway. If someone asks me, which color do you use? My answer is yes. That's usually actually my answer too, because it's like, I mixed it. My green isn't just green. I actually ended up mixing 2 greens just because that's what I put out. But I also mixed it with violet to get the color that I needed. Like, it's never just a straight out of the tube color. So yeah, I'm right there with you, especially colored pencils, because I use so many of them. Kathy said, when you say students, do you teach on the other side? Is that through Patreon videos? So I used to teach in-person classes. That's actually how I started back in, was it 98, 99? I don't know, a really long time ago. But I've been teaching forever that way. And back in, was it like 2017-ish, 2016, I forget what. I think 2016 was the last in-person class that I had. And now I just teach online. So I obviously do the videos here on YouTube, but also like the every week, those students, that's over on Patreon. So that's for as little as $6 a month, you can get all of those videos, those longer lessons. You also get access to our Discord channel. So you can ask other artists, like if you've got a problem, a question, if you want to just show off what you're working on. We've got a sketchbook. I need to get those prompts for you guys tomorrow too. We have, for every day of the month, we've got sketchbook challenges. So if you're just out of ideas that day, I've got a prompt for you. So every day it's something different. So yeah, that's, when I talk about students now, my current students would be Patreon. Nadine said, I think as a beginner who has a low skill level, it feels like color is the one thing you have the greatest control over. See, and I get that, but it's also what's holding you back. She said the rest only comes with time and practice. That's the thing. If you're worried about having control of your color and that's what you're focused on, you're not progressing. The color, it's just not that big of a deal. Your values. If you feel like you're just that, if that is how you feel right now, we need to do some black and white paintings. Focus on that. You're going to be learning how to blend. You're going to be learning how to create detail. You're going to be learning how to create values. And then when you start working in color, it's going to be that much easier for you because you already understand those other aspects of painting, because those are the aspects that matter. The color does not make a big deal. I could paint this bee all in purples, the whole bee purple, and he's still going to look like a realistic bee. If my values are correct, it's just going to look like he's got, you know, purple lighting on him. So the color is just, everyone focus, and I get where you're coming from. Trust me, I hear you. But if you can't get past that and work on what matters, your values, your detailing, your blending, your techniques, those are what matters. The color plays very little, not that big of a role compared to the rest. Like, it's one of those things, you're putting the cart before the horse. You're worried about the thing that you got a ways before that's really going to be a concern in making good art. What's going to make the good art? The values. Are your lights light enough? The dark's dark enough? Perspective. Oh dear God, the perspective is just a nightmare for beginners. These are the things that are going to make your work look good. The color, great, you did a cartoon. Good job if that was your goal, but it probably wasn't. If you're watching my videos, I'm guessing cartoons are not your goal. There are a lot of beginner painting videos here, you know, YouTubers here, the paint sip style, and that's cartoons. That's where color matters because it's a cartoon. But if you want to do something realistic, if you want to get into doing things that are just super advanced, you know, well, realistic. I don't know how many more times I think I need to, I'm redundant, sorry, but we're not here for grammar. We're here for values, color values. But yeah, that's, you have to get over the color being important to you. Black and white paintings or black and white drawings, this is what I would go with. And for those of you on Patreon this month, oh my God, the black and white pieces I have for you that I'm working on right now, for reference photos, you're going to love them. So yeah. But I don't want you to feel like I'm dismissing that or saying you're wrong. I mean, you are. But I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you in thinking that. Every beginner thinks that. Every single beginner. But until you can get past that and put the horse in front of the cart, like pay attention to the things that actually need to come first, you're not going to progress. Yeah, so, okay. What was next? We'll try to wrap this up really quick. Itzel said, would something like the aqua board work for colored pencil and OMS, as it is a surface that supports being wet and doesn't warp and doesn't need framing either? I have no idea. I don't know what that is, so I can't say for sure. She also says that idea came after seeing some artists using gessoed paper to draw or paint with colored pencils like the polychromos, where they are being able to mix the pigment better. I don't know what the aqua board is, so I really can't. Oh, do you mean the watercolor canvas board? If that's what you mean, what I'm working on now, it's too rough. It's smooth for acrylics, but it's not my idea of smooth when it comes to colored pencil, so it's not one for me. Let's see. Art by MB said, I'm still amazed at how clean your studio is. Mine looks like Francis Bacon's studio. It might be clean, but definitely messy. God, the amount of work I put into it this week. I actually took a magic clean eraser. So it's wood look tile, floor tiles in here. I did not realize the 4 years, because I haven't really gotten behind my plants, behind the furniture, airbrush paint settles. And so it's like thick dust, blue, thick dust. That took so much to scrub all that up. And it doesn't stain, it's not ruined. It's just a buildup behind the furniture. I didn't realize how much had settled, because I mop the main floor every week. I did not back there. Oh man, I cleaned this thing. I've still got to organize a few areas, but I cleaned the studio so well this week. That was like, probably a quarter of the time of painting was actually cleaning and rearranging stuff. So yeah, this is, I'm really excited. I've got a new, not till the 20th it's supposed to come, but a new storage thing that'll go over there. Right now I have these carts. And I like them, they're convenient, but they're a bit of eyesores for the look I'm going for in here. So that is going to get replaced by a storage thing there, and I don't know what's going on over here. But yeah, it's a bit cluttered on the other area where the boys are. You can see all my plants. Actually, you can't even see. It's worse than that. It is much worse than what it looks like over there. There's a lot of plants. Those plants wrap all the way around my bay window. So it's like from here all the way to the other side of the room is just plants. So I've been trying to get those organized and combining. Some of them just don't need to be in the pot. Like I can combine them with other plants. So yeah, this has been, it's cleaner right now than it usually is. But I have got to go through and organize like all the drawers where everything is stored. Definitely needs some work. Let's see. Jonathan said, hello, I was wondering if the Arch's watercolor paper would be good for actual pencil drawings, just like a drawing for black and white pencil. Absolutely. It's so good. The hot press. It has to be the Arch's hot press. Wonderful for graphite. Even like water-soluble graphite's good. For regular graphite's good. Now for regular graphite, I'm not as picky as colored pencil on what medium, which paper I work on, but it is, oh yeah, it's great for all of that. Oh, it was an ampersand aqua board. The texture would be too rough, it's all said. Okay, yeah, I'm not at all familiar with that one. Art by MB said, I can't wait for the new studio tour when it's all put together. I need some ideas for mine. Yeah, I am excited. So it's going to be a long one. So tomorrow, yay, I'm excited for tomorrow. I bought a saw. I have wanted a saw. I've been talking about getting a saw for 9 years. Like, I was excited to buy a house because for some reason in my head, if you have a house, you have to have a saw. This one's just like a little handheld, like a little teeny blade one. But not one of those circular ones. But I bought the wood to go around to frame all of my windows, the bay windows, and then I've got plastic that I ordered, plastic sheets that will go, it's like a thick plastic that will be framed in that, and then I'm going to do the gallery gloss on that so I can pop those in and out of the window. But I want the whole, so I want to do some supplemental, even though I'll be doing grow lights in here for the plants, I want to do some supplemental like daylight occasionally, but most of the time I'm going to leave the gallery glass. I'm so excited. I'm starting that project tomorrow. So yeah, these are, I'm really excited about how everything is coming. I still want to condense some of the plants. I feel like this is more, I know that sounds weird, right? I feel like it's just too cluttered. I want more big plants. I just have too many little guys. So I'm kind of shoving them all in the pots together so they share. But yeah, it's coming together, just painting the room. I don't know if I can show you on this. Actually, maybe I can show you on this one. Let's see if I can do this without messing anything up. Not that one. Not that one. No, wait, that is that one. Let me pull this off, and I think I can, it might disconnect though. I'll show you around the studio what I've got right now. Okay, it's working, so, well, kind of. So, oh, it's really dark, so you can't see well. So the boys are behind this table. These are all the plants back there. The coloring and the lighting looks terrible. Maybe I can make it lighter. Let's go to auto. Hold on. We're going to wrap this up in just a second. White balance, exposure. Let's do auto. Oh, too light. Too light. We'll go kind of like that. Sure. But anyway, the walls now, I painted all the way up. So I've got an angled ceiling. That's all painted. That's right above where the boys lay. And then Dragon's Tank, which the lighting looks weirdly blue on here. And all these walls, I put up curtains over the doors so they're not that big white eyesore. Lighting over there. And then the mural, this is kind of zoomed in far so it's hard to tell, but that mural I took up to the ceiling. So it's that angled ceiling again, but I painted the angle apart and then pulled the mural up. So that runs along this wall and then continues back over. How sick am I making you guys? I'm sorry. Back over there. So my oil paints are along that wall. So anyway, that is what let's put this up so I don't make everyone super sick. Any sicker than you already are from that adventure. But that is what I spent the week doing. And I'm so, like, it definitely feels cozier in here. My current thing is I'm trying to decide, like, going with a cozy feel. What did I call it last week? A fairy wizard apothecary vibe I'm going for. It feels like they should have area rugs, but I hate area rugs. Like I have one in my living room, I have one under my desk in my office, and that is it in the house. I don't like rugs because I can't clean them well enough. I'm weird about things being clean. So like I like to be able to mop and scrub things, and carpets are like, eh. So, but it would look really cool to have some carpets like just overlapping and kind of that boho look of just overlapped carpets all over in here. So Dragon would like to walk around on it, but yeah, so I don't know. I haven't decided on that. It's in the future, but anyway, that is my rambling about the studio that I'm super excited about. Are we done? Let's see. Python said, I want for next week a 2-hour stream of you ranting about pets, values, and the economy. Flaming said, that's extraordinary. Thank you. Yes, it is a deep teal. It's what it was like, Ocean Abyss, I think is the color it was called, and mixed with gray. So I've got a dark gray that's at the bottom of the room with the Ocean Abyss mixed into that. And then as I go up, I've got an aqua color that's mixed in with it. You can't really see. No, it doesn't really show here, but it gives it a lot of depth because it's fading from light to dark all over the place. It's not just a flat wall color. So it took a lot of work, but it's also forgiving though. Like you don't have to have a perfectly smooth, it's blotchy like crazy, and it's fine because it's supposed to be blotchy. So yeah. In night in here, it feels more green because I've got warm lights, and so it has a little bit more of a green teal than the blue. So I'm so happy to be in here. This is the first night I've gotten to paint since I did all this, so this has been fun. Maybe that's why the bee came out so good, because I am loving the feel of this room so far. Let's see. Okay, did the painting sell this evening? It did. Do I have the thing of who the final bid was? It should be over now. I don't know if that's the final bid, so I don't want to say it and be wrong, and then that's just mean. Because I always feel bad for anybody who doesn't win anything. Stop. What are you doing? Yes, it did win. Or it is over. So yeah. The bee is getting a new home, but that is over. Okay, anyway, thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I will see you next Wednesday. Let me know in the comments if there's something that you would like me to paint. Let me know what medium you're in. Not all mediums work great for live streams because of the time limit, but let me know the medium. Let me know the subject. The subject's always the hardest thing for me to choose because I always blank out. I just can't think of anything. So let me know. Anyway, I will see you guys next week. Am I forgetting something? Probably. I don't know. I'll see you. Bye. Oh, check out our moderators channels. Links are in the video description. Joseph Fincham, he live streams every Monday? Tuesday. Monday? I should know. I'm a jerk for not knowing. We've got Nick, who hates editing, so you won't see much from him, but he's still got some really cool videos. And Clark Fine Art. Links in the video description. She live streams all the time too and makes edited content too. So definitely check all of them out. I will see you guys next week. Bye.